Australian Magic News, a little bit different today, coming from Chiang Mai in Thailand. I'm on holiday here, and I know it's Australian Magic News. We're going to be talking to an American magician called Tom Piccard. He lives here in Chiang Mai, but he has worked for many years in Australia, and he's a very good friend of mine. So we'll have a chat with him, show you a little bit about Chiang Mai, and hope you enjoy the episode. Well, Tom, how many years have I known you?
Was it 1988 or what year was it we met?
Maybe 91.
91. Was that the year you moved from Ireland to Australia?
Yeah.
Then it would have been 91, because you said it was the first year that you lived there.
And when I first saw you, I was working in a restaurant up in Northbridge, and you were working outside in a little doorway. Right. And I couldn't believe the crowd you were pulling, because I'd never seen anyone do that before.
Those were great times in Northbridge. I was probably knocking down 150 to 200 Australian a night in a couple of hours doing shows out there. Those days are gone.
Yeah, and is that your first time you'd worked in Australia? You worked in Australia?
Very first year that I had. No, it wasn't the first time I'd worked in Australia. It was the first time I'd worked in Perth.
So where did you work the first time in Australia?
First time would have been Sydney.
How was that?
It was a strange experience. I walked out from the airport, from the little backpackers I was staying, and I walked out on the streets in, what was the heck is the name of that? It's a very notorious drug. And
King's Cross?
King's Cross. Walked out on King's Cross, set up my table, and 3 Australian teenagers came up, and they said, "What's this?" And I said, "It's a magic show." And they said, "Well, do us a trick, you beep."
Notice not only do I smoke, I think I'm a chicken. A lot of people say that smoking is evil, that smoking comes from the devil. I say that's absolute bullshit.
And did they watch it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Oh yeah. They didn't give me no money, but they watched it.
Yeah.
But I moved to Perth. I stayed in Sydney probably 2 months, and realized that it was just not my cup of tea. And I moved to Western Australia. I never went anyplace else but Western Australia after that, except for a little time in Melbourne.
And you went back and forward for a number of years after that, didn't you, to Western Australia?
Up until 10 years ago, I was living in Australia.
Yeah.
In the winter times. Then I came to Thailand and never left Thailand.
So nowadays you go to Europe and make your money for what? How many months a year do you do that?
2.5 months out of the year I'm in Europe doing festivals, special events.
Yeah. And what's your favorite country in Europe?
Money-wise or living-wise?
Just favorite country. To work, probably.
To work, Switzerland, without a doubt. Swiss are still the most generous people on the planet.
Is that right?
Yeah, and they're most educated of the Europeans.
Say hello. I used to be a ventriloquist. I had to quit. I got too big for the guy's leg.
I started in 1982. I had been a circus clown for Ringling Brothers Circus World in Orlando. And my brother passed away, and I went to the funeral and never went back to the circus. And then the following fall, I went to New Orleans, and there I met Jim Cellini.
Top cup, once the ball goes up, 1 cup. It works both ways. I can run the wand down, tap the bottom cup once, and there's a winner every time.
Jimmy just passed away, and it was a great loss to both myself and a lot of people. Jimmy broke me into the streets. I'd already had the clown show and some magic, but I had no idea about how to build a crowd in the streets and to keep them and to make money out of them. And Jimmy taught me all of that. And in 1986, he brought me to Europe.
And you've worked with probably nearly every street performer that's out there nowadays, I suppose, haven't you?
If they've been at it for any length of time, I probably ran into them.
Yeah.
It's a pretty small world.
You and me and Gazzo ended up sitting in the steps in Edinburgh a couple of years ago.
Freezing our tuts off.
Middle of summer.
middle of August, and it had to have been, what, 12 degrees?
Yeah, raining, cold.
Cold, raining, 12 degrees, and we had to wait for our turn. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So, has your act changed much over the years? You know, I remember from years ago, we used to do the cigarettes and the Slidini silks. And
I still do certain routines. They're like standard for me. But every year I put in at least 2-3 new magic tricks and new gags. I'm constantly looking for something to make it funny.
Yeah. You know? I noticed last time I saw you did a thing where you vanish a coin, you walk in front of the table, and you live sitting at the table, and it's very nicely done. I've watched it a number of occasions.
I take that money and I throw it straight out. It comes right back there. I take that money and I put it in my pocket. It comes right back here. When you don't look, hey, well, the bigger it gets. And that's why you drop it. Thank you. I have another one. I keep it in my hat. Wow! It stays with me at all times.
Your show is like a 10-minute quick show. You just do it 10 minutes, take the money, have a break, do 10 minutes. Is that the way you work mainly?
Yes, but there's a reason behind that, because on the streets, now when I'm doing festivals, I do 15, 20, 25, 30-minute shows.
Yeah.
Because they're there to see a show. But if I were out working the streets just on a normal day with no special festival or something, I would do what they call crank shows, which are 10-minute shows. Because it's really difficult to keep the public's attention, especially when they're not there to see you specifically. So it's better to give them 10 minutes worth of bang, 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 is good magic, good comedy, make them laugh, fool them, get the money, get the next crowd, and let them go, you know.
Go like that. Now how many balls will be there? Forget about it. The whole thing makes me nuts. How many balls in the cup? One is right. One big one. You got it.
Jesus Christ.
How many balls in the cup? One is right, only it's not a ball. It's an egg. I got breakfast. He's a slave. Thank you. Folks, that's my little show. If you like my little show, this is how I live. It's how I eat. Or at least it used to be until I came here. This is how I feed my family.
And you say you're smoking a cigar there, Tom. You giving up the smoking?
I've given up cigarettes, and I'm not even smoking cigars. I'm just chewing.
So what are you going to do for your cigarette routine in your show?
I'm going to continue to do it, but I'm using
Just
all
light it.
fakes.
All fakes, yeah.
All fake plastic cigarettes. No real cigarettes anymore. Doctor said if I don't stop, I'm dead meat.
Well, Tom, I think it'll be interesting for the people in Australia listening to an American in Thailand talking about doing magic in Australia.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for the interview.
Well, I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah.
All the years that I lived in Oz, had a great time, met some wonderful people. Just lost a good friend, Dave Grant, out of Melbourne, Australia. Great comedian. I worked with all of them. I got to work with Pommy Johnson, Steady Eddie, Big Colin Cole.
Yeah.
Some really, really good comedians, good acts. Had a wonderful time when I lived over there. Too bad they put the GST in and caused everything to triple out in prices. You know, I absolutely refuse to pay $2 for a Coca-Cola, especially when I can get it for 35 cents.